Welcome to Evening Hour with Kirsten Seymour. Our guest tonight is Ahmad Mukhtar, Federal Defense Minister of Pakistan. Your Excellency, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
You're more than welcome.
If I may begin, I know a lot of people sitting out there in their homes tonight are sitting there saying, how did we get here? How did we get to where we are? And from about a year ago, how would you respond to that? Would you say things are really bad now in Pakistan, or?
There has been a lot of ifs and buts, ups and downs, and so this is the down period, and the up period will come very shortly, because we have seen that physically to exist very safely both for US, the world and Pakistan is that we fight terrorism, and that we have to fight jointly. We have already given a very high price for that. We have spent lots of money which we couldn't afford to, but we had to. If we would have not done what we did, these so-called terrorists would have moved out of this area and spread very widely. And then there are no oceans in between. You just
this area, you mean outside of Pakistan?
Outside of Pakistan. When I say this area, I mean India, I mean Sri Lanka, I mean Bangladesh.
Xinjiang, China, you've just...
You take China, because they had also infiltrated to China, although in very small numbers, but they had. So the Chinese were very skeptical of this, and they wanted these people to be rid of. Only today, to fight terrorism is not very difficult, but to fight them in the courts is very, very difficult. You can't prove anything against them. Nobody will come and give any statement against these people, because they are scared that their families will be killed.
Right.
So these people go scot-free.
Right.
So the only way you can fight with them effectively and try to eliminate them is that in the battlefield you fight with them. We have lost a lot of people fighting with them.
You say that the only way is to fight them in the battlefield, and General Kayani, Chief of Army Staff, just last week said that a military approach is not the right approach to terrorism. In fact, I was talking about the de-radicalization program, that something outside of a military strategy is probably going to be the best future approach.
But nobody has come up with that strategy. People talk about that. We also appreciate that. We also agree with it, that like the war we had with the Russians in the 80s. We were fighting it out there, and then finally one day out-of-box solution was to walk out, and the Americans walked out with the soldiers or with the advisors, and we were left behind with the guerrillas or with the terrorists. Thereafter we kept on fighting with them, and finally we did come to terms with them without realizing that they will be more dangerous than what they were today. And we still have about 2 million refugees in Pakistan, and they are all born in Pakistan. So they are actually Pakistani citizens, but they belong to, most of them belong to the terrorists who have been migrating inside Pakistan and living out there.
Those refugee camps were closed down. And those are the refugees you're talking about, the displaced people, or the people who, in these operations that go on.
You're talking of the recent operations, that is the Swat operation, where a lot of refugees had come from the mountains. I'm talking of the refugees who came to Pakistan.
From Afghanistan.
From Afghanistan.
And I was talking about that too. I'm talking about the camps along the border that were shut down. And you shut down the camps, and the people became displaced.
You see, when we shut, they were not moving from there. So
they were staying right there.
We wanted them to go back to their places.
Okay.
And they were not moving from there. So the only way was to shut down these camps and
did they go back into Afghanistan?
So when we say that we were left with about 2 million people, that means a lot of people went back. But 2 million is also a very large number. It's a very small, you can make a medium-sized city out of these people.
So those are obviously going to be recruited into terrorism, because what other option do they have?
They have no other options. Like I've been talking to the American people who used to come and visit us, that look, you please ensure that when you go, there should be peace out here. Don't leave us in the middle, because we alone may not be able to fight. And each one of the officials who had come would give a guarantee that no, we know what mistakes we made last time. This time we are not going to make those same mistakes. And here what we see in the TV, what we see in what we read in the media is totally opposite to what the people are saying. If Mr. Panetta says that you help us find Chaudhry, tell us where Chaudhry is. Then
Yeah,
only
because
then-
Leon Panetta just came out, didn't he, saying that they have evidence that he's inside Pakistan now, the new head of Al-Qaeda. And you guys in
Yes.
your intelligence are saying, well, share that with us so that we can help you find
This
it.
is exactly what I'm saying. We should be told where he is or in which area they think he is, and there we'll carry out
But they
an
didn't do
operation.
that with Osama bin Laden, allegedly. And so if they didn't do that and they got Osama bin Laden, then is there any truth to their claims that if we had told you we have any idea, even an inkling, you would have interfered and we would never have gotten him?
Osama is that big a terrorist for us, as big as he is for the people in the world. He intervened and he interfered in our elections in 1988. He gave one party money to contest elections. So this government of which
Which
is
party was that?
the party, it was formed by the military then and
Okay.
by other people, was IJI.
Okay, okay.
It was a group of parties who had joined together to contest
In 1988, okay.
in 88.
Okay.
And in spite of all that money being pumped in, the elections were won by the party I come from, that is PPP. So these people, you can't believe anymore. Like I have no faith.
Well,
left.
I know that I myself know, as a foreigner living in Pakistan, I've been coming here for almost 9 years now. I know that it's absurd to think that you don't want to fight terrorism when you're receiving most of the terrorist attacks. There's only been a catastrophic, massive attack in the United States, but that doesn't compare to the amount of casualties you've lost in your troops, not to mention who've been lost in some of the attacks that you've had. And this claim that there's internal division or inside information when a lot of the attacks are happening on your military directly. So is there an inside war going on in this country that no one's talking about?
No, I don't think so that there's any chance of an inside war. Our troops are very determined and they know what their duties they have to perform. We had never even thought that there will be an inside war. And so the idea of an inside war has not been conceived yet by people in Pakistan. This thing is not happening out here.
It's like,
One can very
like the
categorically
prospect
say.
of like the Afghan civil war that happened. Is there any possibility of that? Because when I heard the head of the PMLN, Nawaz Sharif, saying after the recent attack at the base in Karachi, he said, you know, originally, good job, America. Originally, you were enemy number one, and now today, Pakistan is enemy number one. Is there any possibility that that America, intentionally or otherwise, is going to be able to hand over the war on terror to Pakistan and go home?
I think the Americans are working on those lines. It seems that if they are doing that, like if Mr. Panetta comes to Afghanistan and flies back, doesn't even visit Pakistan, that means that they have got no interest in Pakistan. They don't want to even discuss anything with Pakistan. Hillary is coming in the next 4 or 5 days. She is visiting Afghanistan, and then Iraq, not coming to Pakistan. They have no interest in Pakistan any
You
longer.
just
So
sent these soldiers home from the United States that were here to train your soldiers in the joint effort of the war on terror and fighting the terrorists. And you say that this is something you have in common with America. What reason did you have for sending those troops home, or soldiers home?
they were actually going beyond the call of duty. They were not functioning according to the program that they had to function. Like if troops come and start killing civilians in Pakistan, so that's a very dangerous thing to be done. So
Did some of these soldiers,
yes,
American
the
soldiers, kill?
one American killed 2 Pakistanis, and then there was a lot of hue and cry, and then finally the law came to the rescue, the Islamic law, where the family members of the deceased decided to take money.
Oh, you're talking about the shooting of, okay, Raymond Davis.
Yeah.
Okay,
He
so
was-
he was part of the
he was-
special training.
Yes, he was
So
one of-
those are the groups that have just been sent back recently.
Yeah, we can't take any more chances with these people roaming and just pulling out guns and killing people. No, this is not acceptable.
So you've just lost 800 million in aid from the United States for military effort.
I don't
How are
think...
you, will you be able to survive in that?
Oh,
so
yes,
they're calling
oh,
it
yes.
a punishment from the United States.
Oh yes, oh yes. No, we don't believe in that they can punish us sitting so many...
It sounds like a punishment to themselves if they need you so desperately to help fight the war on terror.
We will not sit like that. We will, if at all things become difficult, we will just get all our forces back. This money is not for fighting the war. This money is the money which we have spent already on this war.
So this money is a reimbursement, in fact.
It is actually reimbursement. And if the Americans refuse to give us money, okay?
300 million of that, I read, was for your troops that you've put to help them along the border of Afghanistan. So how do you feel as far as justice, which is one of the big words that's used in the United States? What kind of justice do you feel Pakistan is getting in that you send someone home because one of their guys shoots your guys on the street in the light of day? So you say, we don't want these guys here, you're going to go home now. They go home and then they pull aid that's meant to aid your soldiers along the border of Afghanistan. How can you, so what's next? What's the next chess move after something like that?
I think the next step is that the government or the armed forces will remove the soldiers from the border areas.
So America will no longer have reinforcement on the border there?
We cannot afford to keep a military out in the mountains for such a long period of time. And it costs you extra amount of money when you are having your soldiers in the mountains. So we will definitely use that tool. And
how will that hurt Pakistan, or will it not hurt you actually that much to let them come over the border into Pakistan?
No, for your information, we have about 1,100 checkposts in the mountains, and each checkpost has at least 15 to 20 people sitting out there. So there's a very large number of people sitting in those areas, and their security and food reaching them is a duty of the Pakistan Army.
If you didn't have the pressure from the United States, would you have the Kurram operation going on right now? Would that be happening anyway?
It was decided that will happen, but we have to go at a very slow pace. All along these people have been helping us, and now all of a sudden if somebody wants to kill them, somebody wants to fight with them, you are creating trouble for yourself also.
I see.
They are well entrenched in the mountains, and to move them down from the mountain is difficult.
So you're doing sort of a squeeze. You're coming in from operations around North Waziristan. I think you're talking about North Waziristan.
Yes, because South Waziristan we have already cleared to a great extent. It is only the North Waziristan area which needs to be cleared, and we will slowly clear the areas, because we don't want any terrorists in Pakistan. Because a person who picks up a gun can't be friendly. He has to kill somebody to survive. So we think that these kind of people should be kept at a distance, and the only way that they can be kept at a distance is that they are made to stay where they're supposed to stay.
So you want to keep them from picking up their gun, is what you're saying. So a terrorist isn't a terrorist until they actually make that move and take that action. So basically, you want to keep them at bay and sort of remove their cause or their reasons for being terrorists in the first place.
We are trying in this period to train these people back into de-weaponization or de-radicalization process they should go through, and slowly and steadily they will start merging in the society, and once they merge in the society, there are less chances of their picking up guns.
Okay, so I'm going to do something risky. I'm going to talk about India and the Indian Prime Minister in a small comparison to Pakistan, and that is, he is saying, Manmohan Singh has just made a statement 2 days back that, hey, we manage our internal terrorism without any foreign aid whatsoever. We've never been given foreign aid at all to fight terrorism. And he is saying that he uses some of the social aspects like cinema, and there's not a movie house in Islamabad, and that they use other things to sort of give people something else to do, and you know, have sort of more of a cause, like more sports and more recreation and that kind of thing. How would you respond So his comment, obviously it was a bit of a...
I think it's a very old comment which he has given. In reality,
it's not true.
That's not true.
Okay. They are getting aid? Which part's not true?
They got aid when they went into a war with Pakistan in '65. The Russians gave them aid, and thereafter in 1971, when they were fighting with the Bangladesh people, that time also they had aid coming in. They had the jet fighters coming to the rescue.
But do they have aid? Have they gotten aid since 2001 to fight terrorism? Specifically?
No, then terrorism was not in vogue.
Okay.
When terrorism came into vogue, then a lot of aid was coming to fight terrorism.
And your military, you don't actually have enough troops to put an operation in North Waziristan, do you? Or would be...
We don't believe in fighting. We very honestly we say that we don't believe in fighting, but if we are forced to fight, then our army is a very, very strong army.
What is forcing you to fight? The U.S. pressure?
Some pressures, if we
Or the Taliban themselves?
If we are chasing the Taliban and they go into the Indian side, there will be retaliation from there, and we will be in trouble. We will be opening up another front. So we don't want to fight. We think that our children need education, they need better schooling, they need better food, they need better living. And that is the fight which we should be fighting now.
So if you have troops on the ground and then you have drone strikes coming overhead, is there a conflict in those two strategies of war?
Yes, we believe that this war,
because nobody's getting hurt in the drone, but your guys are getting hurt on the ground.
People are being killed in the grounds. Huh? Okay, they say that we are getting high value targets, but with that they are also getting small children, ladies, families. But then they say that no, this is the price one has to pay. But if it was the Pakistani people who were manipulating the drones or who were fighting with the drones, we would be better off. We had done it in the past with the F-16s. We were killing these people, these Al-Qaeda people, and there was no hue and cry in the media because the people in Pakistan knew that they are fighting for our security.
Afghan expert Peter Bergen of CNN actually came out with a statistical report, and he even broadcast it, that the accuracy of the drones isn't certain, and that he thinks they're only effective by 18% in hitting their actual targets, that they hit some militants, but they aren't always who they think they've hit, and then that guy shows up in Afghanistan and they say, oh, we thought we got him in Orakzai or wherever else or South Waziristan. And so I'm just wondering how much of a problem it's causing the military when you're on the ground and then this kind of thing happens and it causes people to attack your troops, or if it makes things worse.
I think the drone attacks are basically meant for the Al-Qaeda people or for the terrorists. It's not for any enemy on the ground. So
and the Shamsi Air Base, is that, it looks like you have no control over what goes on. You're just renting it out to the UAE. The UAE then lets it out to America. But you had to have given somebody, I mean, you can't sublet a base and then send out missiles without some kind of consent or national conciliation from the home country. Or did they literally do that without any concessions whatsoever?
The Shamsi base basically was meant for drones, and then the UAE people had a role to play in that. Ultimately, the main understanding was that these drones will fly from Shamsi base, but they will be for logistics.
So they
were not supposed to carry guns.
Yeah, okay.
And if the UAE people allowed them to carry guns,
they were non-ballistic or they were non-lethal. That's what they were, non-lethal. So they told you they were non-lethal.
Yes,
but you now come to find there definitely were some lethal missiles that came out of Shamsi base.
Yes, when you see people being killed, so there are definitely missiles coming down from these drones. But we will come to some understanding on this drone.
Afghanistan now has been sort of pointing the finger at Pakistan a lot as well, saying, oh, you guys, your troops are coming over our border, and now you're saying, oh, your troops are now coming over our border in Upper Dur. So are we looking at clashes now going on between Afghan forces and Pakistan forces?
They are actually not Afghan forces and Pakistan forces. They are
NATO
tribals.
forces.
They are tribals out there, and when it comes to the forces, there are
So just mayhem?
so many, and they are all looking different. Like the Uzbeks and the Tajiks, they are the guerrillas out coming from their side also, and they look different. So we are fighting.
So when they look different, then your guys
we are
fight.
fighting with them. Yes, we have no option but to fight with them. We have to push them back, and when we are pushing them back, the Afghans themselves, Afghan army or the ISAF people, they push them towards us. So then there is an exchange of fire.
So of all these issues that you have on the board, what would you say is the thing that you are up at night worried about the very most? The clashes along the border, the strained relations with the United States, the terrorism itself? If everybody went away and you were completely on your own in Pakistan, how big of an issue would the extremist issue be?
I can only tell you one thing, that if God forbid this happens, that the Americans and the ISAF forces are pulled out without any logical conclusion, the world is going to face a very tough time then.
The world,
yes,
globally.
Yes, these people are uncontrollable. People who just don't believe in, they say about life after death, and there's too much that we can get after that incident of
heaven, you're saying?
Yes. So our belief is that. So we are not scared of dying, and if we are not scared of dying, we are not scared of killing. This is something in which we believe, and these people who are coming down cannot.
But everybody who goes to war is willing to die for the cause. That's not.
There are two causes. One is your own country; you die for your country.
One is God.
And the one is you are fighting a religious war. So that is the main difference. And we think that like in the past, when these people fought the Russians and came back after there was peace, they were spread all over Pakistan with weapons, and when the Americans wanted them to come, and they were trained people, so they came to fight with the Afghans then. These very people from Pakistan who were trained.
Yeah, yeah.
So they had weapons, and they picked up the guns and went and fought. Then all of a sudden they were told, no, this is the wrong side you're fighting. So turn around and fire on the other side. So this is so those poor people had to do that.
So in the case of external actors, looking at China and Iran and Afghanistan, recently Mike Mullen has been in China. You obviously were recently visiting China as well, and then Afghanistan. And do you feel like America's just playing really hard, in your relations with your neighbors? And in any way, does that threaten your relations with neighboring Afghanistan? Do you directly have a plan for a post-war strategy if one should come, inshallah? Do you have plans for something uniquely as a sovereign state of Pakistan, or is it always going to be couched within your relationship to the United States?
No. We have our own way of having a relationship with our neighbors. We don't want to fight with India. I can assure you that nobody in Pakistan believes in fighting, but we have to maintain an armed force because we want to defend ourselves. We are sure that we will not fight with the Indians, so the army we are maintaining is just for our protection purposes. With Iran we have no enmity, so there is no fighting with them. With the Afghans, it is only in the last couple of years that we have seen some of the soldiers coming on this side and firing and running back. And that's it. China is our very good friend. We don't need to go through anybody. We are not scared of the Chinese, because we know that if at all they come on our side, they'll come to help us. So we have friends all over, and we want to develop that relationship. We want to assure the Indians that no, we do not believe in wars.
Great. And let me ask you just a few personal questions. I know you studied in California, and you have a background correct me if I'm wrong, in plastic technology out of Germany. So how does a man with that background get into politics here in Pakistan?
Sheer coincidence.
Okay, you tell
By
us.
compulsion, my brother he was in politics and he was not allowed to contest by the courts because he was working with a company and he had to wait for 2 years before he could contest. And Madam Bhutto told my brother that if you can't contest, then your brother will contest. And I jumped in and I played much better than all novices do.
Threw yourself in the deep end, as they say.
Yes, I lost in 1990 because I was fighting against the administration and all. 93 I won, 97 I lost, 92 I lost, 98 I won, 28 I won. So I've won.
So
I've lost 3 elections.
You've grown with Pakistan then.
Yes,
you've
I've
gone through a lot with Pakistan.
Yes, my political life is about 22 years, and I've been at the top of the affairs. My relationship with the Bhutto family has been wonderful. My late father knew Zulfikar Ali Bhutto very well, and I knew Madam Bhutto very well.
Yeah, I mentioned that I had known her too in England and Oxford, and Her Excellency, and I thought she was an amazing woman, really.
Absolutely.
And tell me something about working with her, what that was like, or an interesting story, something funny.
She was a very soft-hearted lady.
Yeah.
And a small thing which happened was that after losing the elections in 1990 elections, we were sitting in somebody's house having food, and a gentleman, a senior politician, came to that place also. We were sitting in the drawing room and Madam Bhutto was scolding him that I had not given you the ticket and you disobeyed me and you stood there as an independent candidate and we lost the seat because of you. And that man was very upset. And then in the meantime food was rolling in and she looked at me and she just winked and gave him a plate. And she was trying to tell me, look, he's going to take the plate from me and he'll be okay then after that. Yeah? And exactly that happened. She offered him a plate, he took the plate and then he started eating and he forgot all the scolding he got from Madam Bhutto. But these small things. She was a very strong lady. I only saw tears in her eyes once, and that was when they put allegations on her that she had done corruption and this and that, and she was so upset. But again, she was a very brave lady. The tears, she did not let the tears roll down. She managed to control them. They were moving in her eyes. You could see about 3 eyes, but no tears came down. And she had control on that aspect of her body also. She was very, very soft-hearted, very, very soft.
And the family seems so like such a important part of Pakistan, but they're so wrapped up in tragedy as well.
Their family, I don't think that any political family in the world has gone through what they have gone through.
Yeah. How is Zardari in his personal life? How has he's been able to run the country after his wife's death, and
nobody believes.
How has he made it as a friend? This is not a politician speaking, but as a friend, how has he made it through so much adversity and then been able to run the country?
I think we never believed that he could do it, what he did, and he talked with everybody and he talked reality. He told everybody this is what is up for distribution and this is what we think we should do, and with that he kept on collecting people on his side. Like we started off with 124 votes. The majority was 171. So from the word go, we were short of the majority. But then he managed, ultimately we won the speakership, the deputy speakership, the prime ministership, the presidentship, the chairman senate, the chairman, the chief minister of Sindh, Balochistan, frontier. So we got everything which was possible. and we got very difficult times also. We took the government at a very wrong time. There was no electricity in the country. Dollar was
he has that in common with Obama.
Yes, dollar was shooting
taking
and
over a country.
yes, and oil was at $140 a barrel, and that was the time we took over. Everybody thought that we will not last for 1 week even, because we didn't have foreign exchange reserve for more than 7 days. But we did manage, and it is the fourth year going. Good or bad is totally different. But our working for the masses is very good. We believe that we have to help the poor people of Pakistan, and for that we have to work very hard. Like in the past 1 month or so, if you would have seen the newspaper were only talking about one thing, the media and the newspaper, that look, the elections are coming in Kashmir and we'll find out who is the most popular party. This was every day. The media, TV and the newspapers were writing pages of things, right?
The AJK.
And then the AJK elections, they saw that People's Party practically single-handedly won the election. And the newspapers or the TV media didn't have the courage to then come and write that much in our sport.
I see.
We thought we deserved more than what coverage we got.
Really? Well, in looking at the media, I guess the media is always playing the role of politics, and I think that is a very strong aspect that you have in Pakistan, is that you do have such a free media. As a foreigner coming in, I find it surprising. So are you saying now that you think maybe some of your party has lost its popularity if the media hasn't been covering some of the positive things that have been going on, or do you think they're missing the boat somehow?
No, it was a deliberate case. They didn't like the way we talk, they don't like the way we move and the way we run the government. So the media wanted us to learn how to run the government from them. But we thought that we know a little bit more than the media people, and that is why we are sitting in that seat. We are in the driving seat. We have won the elections because people believe that we can run the country. And if we can overcome one problem of ours, and that is the electricity problem, there is no reason why we should even think that anybody can win elections from us.
What do you think Pakistan's strongest suit is? What is the greatest thing about Pakistan? Because now is your shining moment, now that they've pulled some of the aid, and I've been reading and hearing from all kinds of people, we don't need the aid. Pakistani, we will rise up and we will make it work. The aid is causing us more harm than good. And so here's your moment. And what is it about Pakistanis that they make it work? They overcome adversity. So what is that? Is that a characteristic of people?
It is definitely a characteristic of people. And let me tell you one thing, that per capita, if we look at the number of philanthropists we have, is much more than anybody else in any country in the world. We give more money to hospitals and to these places than anybody if we compare it dollar-wise. The purchasing power of the dollar out here in US and the amount of dollars you spend is unbelievable. We people do give a lot of money and to the poor people of Pakistan. We may not be giving it publicly, but we definitely help people who need help, and that is why this country is surviving. And that is why we say that we can live without aid.
Yeah.
And that is what Mr. Nawaz Sharif has been talking. Let's hope he doesn't get a chance to prove to the world that he can live without aid. It's difficult, but it's doable. You just can't say that we have to learn to live within our means. The only problem today is that if the oil prices were not what they are today, things would be different. When we came out with this policy of thermal electricity, that time the cost of furnace oil was 1700 rupees per ton. Today it is 72,000 rupees per ton. So then the cost of petrol was 2 cents. Today the cost of petrol is 9 cents.
So the PP pipeline is under construction now with Iran. How is that? Is that straining any of your relations with the United States?
No, we have to look at our relations. We have to look at ourselves. We have to see that we have to live. And if we have to live with pipeline coming from Iran, we will have them from Iran.
And has America threatened anything if you have this relations?
They can say, I don't think they have said anything on this issue, but they can say whatever. But we have decided to go for it. It's in the interest of Pakistan, and we'll make it.
You'll have to do that. You'll have to do that.
When we decided that we will eat grass, but we will make atom bomb by late Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, we made it. So we do know how to fulfill our promise.
So in the defense area, the next thing that's going to happen, you have the Quram, you have had Momand, then Quram. What's next? What's the final? Do you have any final plan in mind for the end of all of this?
When somebody will start thinking that no, we have to live in peace. I was talking to the minister of that area, and he was saying that why don't you come to these agencies? We'll roam all over, and you see for yourself that they're not very dangerous. A stray bullet can kill you, an accident can kill you. Their chances are there, but there are far less chances out there because they're fairly bad roads, and you don't drive very fast on those roads.
One last thing I wanted to ask you about. When looking at the way that Pakistan addresses its people when there's a tragedy or when there's a catastrophe or some kind of a meltdown, and like the Osama bin Laden case, it didn't seem like anybody was saying very much right away. Maybe didn't really know what to say, and America was talking, and you were taking a back seat. But like the jetliner that went down, I know there's a lot of people who are still asking questions. What's ever come of that? And is there any reason in your cabinet why you feel like, oh, this is just not something we want to discuss openly? Or is there a strategy behind that, or is there something in the interest nationally that people aren't aware of?
Which jetliner are we talking of right now? The
Airbus.
The Air Blue.
Yes, the Air Blue one.
Okay, the Air Blue, we have completed the inquiry. We have written to the Prime Minister that he should give us time so that we can place the record in front of him, and if he tells us to make it public, we'll make it public. If we have to censor it and then tell the people, we'll do that. It's a tragedy. 150 odd people died.
That's awful.
But they did die, right? You can't help it. There was no survivor from that.
But as you know, people always want answers or compensation,
yes,
or at least they want to hear what's going on.
We will give them the details. They are ready with us.
Okay.
Maybe another 10-15 days.
Okay.
And this will be made public. Although historically we have seen that these things are not made public for years and years. And people take 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and don't make.
That's longer than a person's in office. It's hard to choose a representative.
But then that
someone else is around by the time it comes out. No, that's good to know. 15 days. That's great.
Yeah.
So, and the final wrap up for Afghanistan, the post-war strategy, I guess you must be looking at your role you're going to play with Afghanistan. We
have a very nice relationship with the President of Afghanistan.
Yes.
And we hope and pray that this relationship improves further. We have seen Afghanistan a very serene place, a very beautiful city. We have seen Kabul in 1967, and I also seen Kabul in 2011. And in Kabul now, what you see is containers and containers.
It's just depressing.
It is very,
I remember
very
reading
depressing.
books about Herat and Kandahar and these old
cities. Even if you look at the city of Kabul, it is all containers, and it is very depressing. Because if you have seen Kabul in the 60s, when it was a very clean city, the population was small, people were walking, nobody would say anything to you. That was one part of Afghanistan. We want that part of Afghanistan, when we were friendly with each other, when we had we weren't scared.
Stabilize Afghanistan, then you can also, benefit from the oil and gas pipelines that go through the neighboring countries.
If Afghanistan is stable, we get a lot. We get a lot. We are very keen that they should get stable, because if they are stable, Pakistan is the beneficiary also.
Well, inshallah, that this will work out and there will be stability in Afghanistan and hence
Hope-
prosperity
we
in
just-
Pakistan.
We just hope it happens that way.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for a rare interview. And that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you very much for watching Evening Hour with Kirsten Seymour. We'll see you next time.